This video covers Morehouse's homework for report period 3, week 5. We'll start with Monday, February 13th. The first box of Monday's homework just asks you to write multiplication sentences and exponent form that are equal to one another. So for example, I know that 5 to the third power means that I'm multiplying my base of 5 3 times. And so my multiplication sentence is 5 times 5 times 5. When I'm moving in the other direction, so that was exponent to multiplication, but when I move from multiplication to exponent, I know my base is 6, because that's what I'm multiplying, right? And I know that I'm multiplying it 2 times. So I have 6 to the second power. And in question 1, all you're doing is completing the table. Let's take a look at question 2. There are 36 students in Mr. Meyer's class. Of those students, 5/12 played tag at recess, and 1/3 played kickball, and the rest played basketball. How many students in Mr. Meyer's class played basketball? And I left you a hint here. What is 5/12 of 36, and what is 1/3 of 36? So hopefully you remember from RP2 that when you see a fraction phrase like this, like 1/2 of something or 5/12 of something, that indicates multiplication. And so we can separate out our problem in 3 categories. We have students who are playing tag. We have students who are playing kickball. And we have students who are playing basketball. And I have the information that I need to calculate the total students for the first 2 categories. So for tag, I know that 5/12 of the 36 students are playing tag. And so I can simply multiply 5 over 12 times 36. Now, when you actually do this multiplication, remember, you can make 36 over 1. And you're definitely going to want to simplify your fraction here because 36 times 5 is equal to 180. And we can divide 180 into 12 15 times. So I know that 15 students played tag. Now you can repeat the process for kickball. This time you have 1/3 times 36, and again we'll put it over 1, equals 36 over 3. And 3 fits into 36 12 times. So I know 12 students played kickball. Now I need to find out how many students played basketball. I know that there are 36 students in total. And so 15 plus 12 plus something has to equal 36. I will leave this final step to you. This is a good time to pause the video to make sure you're good on this page before I move on to the next. In question 3, you're simply being asked to add 2 fractions with an unlike denominator. Let's do a quick review of creating a common denominator. Some people might off the bat multiply 5 times 10 to use a common denominator of 50. But in this case, we can more easily create a common denominator by converting fifths into tenths. I know that 5 times 2 is 10, and 4 times 2 is 8. So I can rewrite my problem as 8 tenths plus 7 tenths. Remember that we can only add fractions when there is a common denominator, only when there's a common denominator, and the denominator does not change. So we have 8 plus 7, which is 15 over 10. We can also simplify that because we can divide the top and the bottom by 5 for a final answer of 3/2. And that's question 3. Question 4, I'm just going to read to you. It's a word problem that is a review. See, it says on the side, reviewing skills and concepts. And the key thing about question 4 is just close reading. There's not any tricky math involved. So I'm going to read it and leave it up to you. It says, a baker was going to arrange 432 desserts into rows of 28. The baker divides 432 by 28 and gets a quotient of 15 with a remainder of 12. Explain what the quotient and remainder represent. Write 2 full sentences. And I define those words for you. Remember, quotient is the answer to a division problem, and the remainder is how much is left over. If you're stuck, my suggestion would be to draw this out. And you could just draw the rows of 28 with dots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and count all the way up to 28. If you're stuck, you don't need to do that, but that's an option that you have. We're going to move on to Tuesday now, so if you need to pause the video or come back later, this is the time. All right, so Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday have a lot of similarities with Monday, so I will be referencing the Monday video back. For Tuesday, the table at the top is exactly the same as Monday, just with different numbers. So if you're stuck on this part, just go back to the start of the video and watch the examples there. Number 2 on Tuesday is also very similar to the question that we did, number 2 on Monday. It says, Julie brought 24 apples to school to share with her classmates. Of those apples, 2/3 are red and the rest are green. And you just have to find out how many are green. So you know that you have green and red apples, and that when you add the green, thin out my marker, when you add the green, however much that is, plus the red, you know that you end up with 24 apples. And you don't know how many of the apples are either, but you can find out how many are red because it's 2/3 of 24. And remember, this usually indicates multiplication. So once you figure out how many are red, you can find out how many are green. And again, very, very similar to question 2 on Monday's homework if you want to rewind the video for a full example. So in question 3, we've got a subtraction question, and I'm just going to review the first step. It says it here, hints, change 3 3/4 to an improper fraction first. Remember that to move to improper fractions, we need to multiply the whole number times the denominator, so that's 12. And then we want to add the numerator and keep the denominator the same, so we end up with 15/4. And so our problem is really 15/4 minus 1/8, but you do still need a common denominator before you can subtract. And that's how you would start question 3. Your next step here is to find a common denominator, then subtract. And question 4 is just long division. So I'm not going to review that here in this video. It's in a couple videos over the last few weeks, but question 4 is just long division. All right, let's take a look at Wednesday night's homework. Lynn says, I took the number 8, then multiplied it by the square of 3. I'm going to annotate that. She started with the number 8, then she multiplied it by the square of 3. Select all expressions that equal Lynn's answer. So you're just thinking about which of these expressions show the square of 3 multiplied by 8. Remember that square means raised to the second power, so the square of 3 is 3 raised to the second power. Which one of these options shows the square of 3 being multiplied by 8? There's more than one correct answer, so pause this video and look at your options in question 1. All right, you should have showed me some work and circled answers in question 1. Question 2 is also multiple choice. It says, circle the expression equivalent to the difference between 7 and 4 divided by a fifth. And I'm going to let you do this one on your own too, but I want to remind you that the word difference means answer to subtraction. So which of these number sentences match the words? You can pause for question 2. In question 3, we've got more fractions subtraction. This is question 3 on Monday and Tuesday, so for examples, you can rewind. And question 4 is long division. So again, not going to review long division in this video. If you still need support with long division, you should be checking in with Ms. Kness. All right, finally, we have Thursday night's homework. And on Thursday night's homework, you are being asked to simplify each expression, which means to solve or find the answer. Let's zoom in and take a look at A. So we've been talking in class about PEMDAS. I'm going to write it here on this side of the screen. And it helps tell us the order in which we should do our operations. And here I can see that I've got parentheses in my expression. That's what the P stands for. So I'm going to start there. 8 minus 3 is 5. Now, once I do an operation, complete an operation, I'm going to rewrite everything else. So notice all that I've done so far is subtract 8 minus 3 because that was in parentheses, so it came first. My next step on my list is exponents. 4 to the second power, which is 4 times 4, 16. And again, I'm only doing one step at a time, so now I'm going to rewrite my expression. Remember, when I have 6 and 5 hugging one another, that means multiplication. And so what I'm left with here is multiplication and addition. And I know that I have to multiply first. And so I'm going to multiply 6 times 5, which is 30. And I got to bring down my 16 because I didn't add it yet. And I end up with a final answer of 46. Now, notice how in my example, I'm going step by step. I'm not trying to solve everything at once. I'm not trying to go left to right. I'm using PEMDAS to go in order, each step one at a time. Those color codes on the screen should help. This is how I want you to write all of the problems in question 1. Downwards, step by step. You can pause here to answer question 1. Question 2 is just like question 2 on last night's homework. It says circle the expression that's equivalent to 42 divided by the sum of 2/3 and 3/4. I just want to give you a reminder that sum means the answer to addition. So you'll want to circle one of these solutions. And we've got some more fraction addition and subtraction and some more long division on the last page, concepts we've reviewed. Again, if these basic skills are tripping you up, please be checking in with me to get some extra help at recess or before school.